Oh, and we are back. Thank you guys so much for tuning into our Couch Talk. We had very dynamic conversations. Now we're switching into the first conversation because today is United Nations Day, and we're so privileged to be able to have a day dedicated to the entire UN and ranging from different topics. We first have the UN Resident Coordinator for Belize and El Salvador, Mr. Raúl Salazar, that's going to be joining us to talk about the UN, Belize, and all that, and so much more. Good morning, Raúl. How are you doing?
Good morning. I think you're muted, Mr. Salazar.
I think you might be muted. We're not hearing you. I think you might be muted.
Yes, I think he... Oh, I don't know.
Did he unmute it?
Not sure.
So as we're getting that worked out too as well for the mute and being able to hear Raúl. Trivia, UN trivia.
Oh, gosh.
Brandon.
Oh, gosh.
Real quick, UN trivia. What date? Oh, you know what?
I got it.
Well,
no,
yes.
I'm late.
I told you, so you're supposed to know this.
Exactly.
What date did Belize sign on to the United Nations?
September 25th, 1981. So they're the same age as Belize, right?
Woo!
Here in Belize, I know that.
Excellent. I'm super excited that you know that too as well.
Right, but I'm quite interested in learning more about the UN. I know he was on our couch before.
He has been on. This is the third
time.
time we're having Raúl on, and he's always exciting to have
Right.
on the couch show as well. And so Raúl, can we hear you?
Hola. Yes.
Yay!
Okay, here we go. Good morning.
Excellent. We can hear you now.
Right. So,
Right.
Mr. Raúl, again, happy UN Day to you and to the team. I want to understand more, or I want to educate our audience a bit more about what specifically is UN Day. How did it come about?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me today to celebrate jointly this 24th of October. It's a day that we celebrate every year. It's called the UN Day, where we commemorate the founding of the United Nations Day, when it marks the anniversary of the entry in force of the UN Charter in 1945. It is a day to honor the global organization role in this recognized role of promoting peace, security, and sustainable development and cooperation among nations. This is what we are celebrating today.
Ah.
Awesome.
And could you tell us, Mr. Raúl, how long, well, we just found out how long it was here in Belize, but why would you say it is necessary, or what is the importance of having the UN here in our country of Belize?
Well, the United Nations in Belize has been present since the very beginning, since the independence of Belize. UN has been working in Belize since September 21st, 1981, after the long process of independence of Belize from the British government. It was admitted immediately as the United Nations as a sovereign state. Mm-hmm. So the UN engagement and work in Belize since then has been guided through the cooperation framework that we have with the country. Every year we have an agreed framework of what are the priority areas that we're going to work together with the government of Belize. And this is signed jointly, and there is actually one in place, and is absolutely aligned to the Plan Belize Medium-Term Development Strategy for 2022-2026. We try to complement what the Belizean government has set themselves as their objectives of development. And we try to complement through the different areas that we have prioritized within this framework, which are basically, there are four areas of engagement. One is the shared prosperity and economic resilience, equality, well-being, and living now and behind, resilience to climate change, and also addressing the issues of peace, safety, justice, and rule of law.
Excellent. And for you, because I know that you've been doing exceptional work, the United Nations, the RC office specifically, what can you, on a personal note, would say that you think has been super instrumental with the UN in Belize thus far? Because you shared the four key areas or so, but which one do you think personally that you think we've been really pouring into when it comes to aligning with the present government and the United Nations and their mission to really leave no one behind, of course, and to help support different countries?
Well, in the case of Belize, we have, as I said, this cooperation framework that is implemented and divided annually, and some objectives that we want to achieve. And actually, the work plan that we have established for 2024-2025 includes a total of 161 projects,
Wow.
with
Wow.
15 implementing UN agencies, funds and programs that are based in Belize. And the total budget of all these programs for the period of 1 year is 47 million, out of which we already have nearly 50% already covered. So another 50% to be mobilized, and we carry out these resources into this program with the cooperation of other countries, bilateral countries that channel their resources through the UN and the work that we are doing in different areas.
You say that there's 161 projects for a 1 year span. Could you give us some insights as to some of the major projects within that 161?
It is actually there are main areas, of course, that we are addressing now. We have been working very closely with the government of Belize in different areas, and we have now, I understand, one of our colleagues there from the for High Commissioner for Refugees, and then our colleague Mirat. He will tell you what they are doing, for example, with the migrant population in Belize since many years, some time now, complementing a very open policy of the country of accepting people that for different reasons have had to abandon their home countries, and then carrying out all this process of amnesty that have been, I would tell you, a model for the region. And apart from that, areas of education, we have been working very closely with the education sector, with the Minister of Education, and try to raise the basis, or to create the basis of where the students start acquiring all these principles, acquiring all these objectives and capacities to be better, to have a future. And if you take these actions right at the global level, it is what the UN does at the global level. I mean, what we do and the capacity that we have to change things, to attend people. And I was this morning receiving some news from the colleagues in Gaza, and they were telling us the capacity of the UN has, even in this context of crisis, where the peace is called, where the truth is called, and the effectiveness of the UN is actually being questioned, right? We have to distinguish very, very, very closely what our capacities are in order to attend humanitarian situation. And in Gaza, for example, we have been able to put in place mechanisms and programs to avoid the polio, for example, to become a serious impact in the population that is now being affected by war. The capacity to attend people in Ukraine, to mobilize in 30 days humanitarian support for critical areas in the world that are facing and experiencing war. And I would like to say something, that this is a day of celebration, but it's also a day of remembrance. The last 2 years, nearly 230 UN staff have been killed in the world, of course, because of these wars. So the UN is carrying out its objectives, bringing development, bringing peace, bringing hope to many people that is now suffering for the impacts of war.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much for that, Raul. I think it's so impactful to understand how many UN officers have lost their life, but also just to see how together as a whole, the UN has been trying in their capacity to really render aid, to provide service, to allow people to know that we are behind trying to promote peace and prosperity, and as well as trying our best to leave no one behind and allowing people to get resources at a timely manner. And I thank you so much for bringing that to their attention, because like you said, it's a day of celebration, but it's also a day of remembrance for all the hard work, all the lives lost, and everything that the UN has been doing. I think it's incredible to know that the millions of dollars that is just in 1 year, to have Belizeans understand that these UN agencies are doing prominent work to appreciate it as well as just maybe be a part of it too as well, especially when we connect with partnerships and want to be able to have them come to different events and whatever it is that we're doing too as well, to be a part of that. As we're wrapping up this segment, is there any final remarks that you want to make of sharing any other message for UN Day, anything at all, or maybe just sharing also what has been maybe your favorite part of being the UN representative for the Resident Coordinator Office for Belize and El Salvador?
Well, the resident coordinator is an initiative of the Secretary General that is basically put all the forces together of the UN capacities in a country to work better together, to make them more connected.
I think we have frozen there a bit. Well, Ren, as we work this out, could you tell us some of the UN organizations here in Belize?
So we have presently, I know that's also going to be on the show, we have UNFPA. Well, UNFPA will not directly be on the show, but I have to bring up Cheyenne because she was one of the people that helped us with our videos today too as well. Like Raul said, that being the UN office, the Resident Coordinator Office, they came together and they're the ones that kind of have that mold to hold all of us together, to make sure that we're working together, but also that, we're aware of what each other is doing too as well, and making sure we have that. And so today we're going to be having on UNDP, we're going to be having on UNHCR, I'll be representing IOM too as well. We're going to be having on HUPAHO as well. We're going to also be talking just a lot about the testimony. So I'm really excited about, the next conversation is going to be with some national staff members. UNICEF is also going to be in talking about, their work. And I'm sure that's a prominent name that many people can recognize in the country too as well. So like he said, 15 different agencies, not all are actually in country too as well, because there are some like UN Women that aren't in country but do very prominent work too as well in the country. So it's great to see that we're having these agencies come here and be able to share with what's going on too as well. So,
all right, yeah.
Unfortunately, I think, Raul, do we have you back or is it frozen? I'm wondering.
I think it's frozen.
I think it's frozen. Unfortunately, technology loves us and hates us at times too as well.
Yes.
But we really thank him for taking that time out to share with us his remarks and also enlighten us on what's happening, with colleagues and remembrance and celebration of UN Day. With that, guys, we're going to go to our next commercial break. But when we're back, like I mentioned, we're talking to national staff and getting testimonies and feedback of what it's like to work with the UN, be in the field, what they love about it, what projects are coming up too as well. And stay tuned so you can be also a part of that.